Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Right Side Up. My name is Mike Taglavia. My co-host is Allison Despathy. Allison, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great, and nice to be here. Thanks again, Mike.
Thanks for joining me. So, before we get into our discussion and trying to solve all the problems in Vermont here, I know you went to a party or two, or a gathering, a picnic, whatever you want to say, this weekend and this past weekend. So did I. I went to a Windsor County event, Windsor County Republican Committee event.
Mm-hmm. And good support, good showing.
Good support.
Yep.
Great showing.
Excellent.
Good food. Great atmosphere. It was at one of the parks. What the heck? In Plymouth.
Okay, nice.
Oh, I can't remember the name of the park. But anyway, great turnout. And there were a lot of candidates there. Some who were incumbents trying to return, Republican incumbent candidates, Representative Tom Charlton, Representative V.L. Coffin, and Representative Kevin Winters were the Republicans who were trying to return to continue the work that we started
Nice.
back
Those are
in
great
25.
guys. That would be hopefully they get reelected.
Yes, did a great job.
Good.
And there were many Republican candidates there who spoke as well. It was began at 11 and didn't finish up until just around 4 o'clock.
Nice.
So it was nice. The weather was great. The food was great. The company was great.
That's
so,
awesome.
If you're in Windsor County, there are plenty of options for you. So look up your Republican candidates. You've got options.
And the Republican candidates who are challenging the Democrat
Yes.
incumbents right now,
Yeah.
who
Oh,
are
yeah.
trying to push back and say, hey, we haven't been happy with what you've been doing. You know, here's an option.
A
So
bunch of them were there.
definitely.
they
And
spoke,
hopefully
and
people
yeah.
will take the time and have those conversations so you can really see, why is this person stepping in to challenge this Democrat incumbent? What have they done?
Yeah.
You know, so you can understand for your vote.
Yeah.
Right.
So what about your events?
Oh, yeah. So I went to a few. So the Caledonia County Republicans, which is my sort
Okay.
of crew over in Danville.
Where my seatmate is.
Your seatmate.
Deborah Lynn Powers.
Oh, yes, exactly. Yes. So
Yes.
Debbie Powers, she's Barnet, Reigate, Waterford, and she is obviously running again, and she has a challenger. So we did our celebration on Harvey's Lake in Barnet at Representative Deb Dolgan's home. And it was wonderful. Like you said, beautiful weather. We had Marco the Magician. I don't know if anyone has ever caught that guy, but
No.
oh my goodness, he is absolutely hysterical. I've seen him with my kids in life. I mean, it's both like child and adult humor, but I've seen him with my kids. And it's great because the kids don't get the adult humor, but the adult, so he makes everyone laugh. He literally is so talented.
Yeah.
And I've seen him probably 20 times in my life. So I was so happy to see him there. We had music. We had the Caledonia County Republican Bluegrass Band.
Okay,
Which
cool.
is Gary Darling and a few of the crew, like awesome. So that was great, and good food. And like you said, definitely a lot of incumbents who are running again.
Yep.
And a lot of support for them because I think, obviously, Mike, I think as we know, I mean, my gosh, you're in the legislature, so you know, people have been just really feeling crushed and disappointed with you. The Democrat leadership and majority have had decades to
Yes.
try to fix the problems, but instead of fixing problems and helping us, they've been adding more financial burden through,
Yes.
as we know, Global Warming Solutions Act, Renewable Energy Standard, their attempt at the Clean Heat Standard,
Higher
their total
taxes and-
infringement
yeah.
on private property with Act 181.
Yep.
Fortunately, you guys, worked on rolling some of that back. But I think there's just a lot of people who are waking up and saying, wait a minute, like, sorry, Democrat Party, like, you've had this opportunity. What are you doing?
Right.
And I think it's time for a change of the guard.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
majorities and supermajorities that have been there, like you said, for decades, at least 25 years or more.
Exactly.
At least.
Right.
And, honestly, Vermont, what have you got to lose? Give us a try.
I know,
Okay? We
exactly.
have had bills on the wall. The governor has had a plan, regardless of whether you hear Democrats say otherwise, because they've said it. The president pro tem said it more than once during the supermajority. The governor has no plan. The Republicans have no plan.
There's
That's
absolutely
absolutely
a
not
plan.
true.
Right.
It was never taken off the wall. It was never
Right.
entertained. Nobody in the majority or supermajority ever showed any interest in it.
Right. It's been ignored.
And because of the 181 fight and all of the taxes, especially with respect to education taxes skyrocketing at such a fast rate,
Yes.
people decided they needed to pay attention. And now we're seeing more and more, whether it be land rights, property rights, or taxation.
Affording your electricity, affording your gas and your heating oil.
People are starting to ask why. Where did this come from? And we're getting more and more ways to find out. More and more conservative media or even independent media that is showing people, hey, go look here. I just saw an article on FYIVT.com. They have a finder.
Yes.
That they just put, I think it's just only hours old.
Oh, yeah, recently
maybe a day or two.
Yeah.
And where you can find, it make it easier to find legislation and things, to do a search regarding to your legislature.
And even your locality with
Yes.
like public bodies or public meetings or hearings
And
that you might want to be tuned into. Yeah.
It's only for Searching Things Vermont.
Yes, it's
so
amazing.
it should make it a whole lot easier.
And what was that one again? Where is that at?
FYIVT.com.
Yes, with Dave Sulya.
Yes.
Okay, great. And that's where I'd also go back to, Mike, what you've talked a lot about is like, we got to go back to the green books. And I think this is what we know. And that's what's been so frustrating for me to hear right now. A lot of Democrat people who are running, candidates running, trying to blame Governor Scott for the affordability crisis that obviously they have created, because I just want to say it again. I know I've said it before, but the executive branch executes the laws that the legislature makes.
Absolutely.
So if it's not affordable, it's the legislative policies that have been enacted over this time that we have to go back and fix. Absolutely.
So their mantra is, we wrote the bills, or we passed the bills, sent it to the governor, overrode him, and now it's his fault.
Right.
And
we're going to come in and now
happened.
we're going to solve it for you people.
That's what happened. Right.
Come on.
This past session, what did we do? We actually put legislation in. We enacted legislation and put it on the shelf. Oh, what the selling point? Oh, don't worry. There's no funding attached to it. But
for now.
The 3-letter word, yet.
Right.
None yet.
Right.
As soon as somebody finds some, there's going to be, oh, guess what we have? It's right here. We can fund this legislation now.
Right.
Maybe we really never needed it.
But that's where, like, with you guys, with more Republicans getting elected in the past election cycle.
Yes.
And you guys came in and you could uphold the governor's vetoes, as we saw play out from a financial, economic standpoint. Taxes went up so much less than they would have otherwise, and than they have over the past years. I mean, you guys have shown yourself and your ability to say enough, and we're going to hold this line, and that's where hopefully you'll get back in there. And the other party that I should say, Mike, that I attended in Danville, there was a gathering in support of Allie Richards, who I've held a lot of deep concerns on, because I keep hearing her say affordability, I keep hearing her say energy independence. I keep hearing her talk about universal health care. And it's like, how are you going to get there? And it's all these buzzwords that often appeal to people. And like, oh, yes, I care about that. And yes, I want that. But how? And this is what was very upsetting for me, is that this past gathering that I went to for her, and I listened to her stump speech, and there were 3 places in particular where, and I don't want to accuse her of intending to share misinformation, but she did share misinformation. And whether it's because she didn't have the knowledge,
right,
whether it was intentional, I don't know, and I'm not going to try to figure that out. But to a large group of people, she specifically said she would give me that data center bill right back. I'll have that signed right away, without realizing that the Senate messed up the data center bill. Everyone was in support, including the governor and his crew, based on his executive order on how it came out of the House. The Senate added the extortion fee, and they allowed for pollution. So for her to go in and say, I'm going to sign that bill right away, I mean, and a lot of people, and it's sad to me because it's taking advantage of the fact that many people don't have the time or aren't interested in the details. So for her to be putting that out there and putting the governor down when his veto was 100% justified, was very upsetting. The other places, and this blew my mind, I mean, I talked to people and I talked to her after, but I was about to sort of scream in the middle of this, because the governor had vetoed in 2024 over the supermajority. He vetoed Act 181. and she took Act 181 and she spun it to make it sound like it was his fault. And this was so disturbing to me that she would do that when the entire time he's been pushing back on that. So those two, and then the other last one I just have to say, Mike, and this is where I guess the reason it's important for me to want to talk about this and share this today is people have got to watch out for propaganda. I mean, it is alive and well in Vermont right now. And
definitely
I am
alive
listening to this go on. The other one was about health care. And obviously the governor's executive order was on healthcare after his veto of S190, the fake reference-based pricing, right?
Yep.
It is the absolute greatest first step in health care policy that Vermont has seen in a long time. And so to hear that being attacked, to hear the misrepresentation that Allie Richards running as, if she makes it through the primary, obviously she's in a primary with Amanda Janoo, but there just needs to be clarity around these issues so people can really have the facts when they go to vote and they're trying to understand these policy issues that affect all of us.
Yeah.
So that was just so frustrating.
Yeah, no, just because he's the governor, it's his fault, I guess.
Right, it's easy target to blame.
And remind me, didn't somebody say, I'm not familiar with her history. I know that I'm not going to be casting a vote for Allie Richards.
Right.
Didn't somebody tell me that she worked in the Shumlin administration? Is that
yes,
correct?
but she never wants to speak to that. So she'll say she worked for a Democrat governor, but Peter Shumlin, obviously, there was a lot of concern around ethics.
Not only that,
Right.
Peter Shumlin, correct me where I go wrong here, if I go wrong, Peter Shumlin ran on universal health care, and then days after the election, he came out and said, whoops, guess what? We can't afford this.
Right, exactly.
What's changed with now Allie Richards so that she's certain this state is going to be able to afford it? Because it's never going to be affordable. And it's the difference between having a healthcare policy and actually getting healthcare.
Exactly. And
There's
affording
the
healthcare.
And affording
Big
it. Right.
difference. Exactly.
And
No, those are the questions.
That's what a lot of people don't put together. Like you said, propaganda. Oh, universal healthcare. Wait a minute. Don't tell me I have a universal health care policy if it's useless.
And
if
still
it doesn't
people
work.
love to hear that, but it's obviously Vermont doesn't have the volume or the money.
Right.
You do not have the capacity to take that on.
No.
And that's where we need the other structural reform that the governor's executive order attempts to start to move forward. The other concern that I have on Allie Richards, if we're okay for time for a second here, is obviously, she was very heavily involved in Let's Grow Kids, which takes money from our paychecks to afford to basically subsidize healthcare in Vermont. And granted, we want healthcare in Vermont, but this also really had a strong impact on just some small home-based healthcares.
You mean home-based
I'm sorry.
childcare?
Thank you. Yes, the home-based childcare, exactly.
Right.
And so, but I get deeply concerned in the sense of they're taking money from our paycheck, regardless of if you don't have kids, and even if you make up to what was it, like $175,000, you can get subsidized childcare. That's the
stickler for me, right?
That is a stickler for sure. And then it's just, are they going to come for more? Like, what's the next step? Is she going to create legislative policy to be considered that takes more from our paycheck? I mean, I think that's a concern because you think of elders, you think of people who don't have kids, who've raised their kids. What do they need to put money into?
Yeah, we've created a system that makes it harder for people to afford to send their child to childcare.
And we want a strong social safety net where we can help moms and dads and families that need that support.
Absolutely.
But across the board like that?
But getting somebody who's barely scraping by, maybe they're making 40, 50, 60,000 a year, subsidizing somebody who's making 2 or 3 times that.
Right, exactly.
That's a problem. And that's one of the things that everybody, too many people on the side of Allie Richards is saying, oh, look at this shiny object, look at how great it is, when everybody should be looking over their shoulder, seeing what they're missing.
Yeah, and what's next, and understanding the details of was that really a good policy? Exactly.
Yeah. So, it's going to be very interesting, but We will have to see.
I
We'll
know.
have to
And we
see.
just have to keep information coming out so people can be informed, as we've talked about before.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
all right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have to come back and continue this conversation in a couple minutes. You're listening to Right Side Up. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Right Side Up. My name is Mike Taglavia. My co-host is Allison Despathy. Before we change subjects here, switch gears, I just want to remind everybody or inform everybody, I'm not sure if a lot of people know, the Senate Republicans, Vermont Senate Republicans, Wednesday morning, tomorrow morning, will be having, or at noon, I think it is.
Okay, usually.
Keep your eyes open. I saw it was posted on social media, so you might want to check it out. I think it was on Facebook. They're going to have a press conference dealing with or talking about the governor's executive order on health care. So
Really,
it'll be
really
good.
important.
Yes.
Great steps, as we were saying. Yes, yeah.
It's definitely a step. And, there are some people, I had somebody insist on me, Mike, you need not to pay attention to any of the national stuff. Well, I don't know that I like that. Okay.
We are impacted by it. Yeah.
We are impacted by it. And this is one of those. Okay. And one of the reasons we have the executive order is because we are using, and we do this a lot of times, we are using a model from other states, models that quote unquote work.
Right. I mean, New
They have
Hampshire
shown
has
promise.
dropped.
Yes.
They have dropped their insurance rates. And I
Okay.
don't know if we talked about this last week or not, Mike, but I'll just mention for people that the Silver Plan in Vermont, benchmark for a 40-year-old, in Vermont, you're looking at $1,300. In New Hampshire, you're looking at about $415.
That's a
it's
huge-
triple the
huge,
amount. It's
yes.
insane. Yeah.
So, don't look outside the boundaries of the state. Why?
Right.
There is so much stuff that has come from the outside the boundaries of this state that has helped to ruin this state.
Right.
Okay. Then there are solutions in other states. We have examples in other states of healthcare that has worked, school choice that has worked.
Yep,
I mean, the list
absolutely.
goes on and on.
Yes.
Regulation or deregulation to jumpstart our economy. There are other states that have done it or are doing it, and we should use them as an example.
Yeah, and it's great to see the governor just at least saying, okay, within the executive branch and the agencies, please do everything in your power to fix this, because unfortunately, the legislature, the majority leadership failed.
Yes,
they have failed.
they
and
obviously did.
It's
Obviously.
an important move. Yes.
Yes. So, okay, I want to dive into this. This has been going on nationally, worldwide, and in this state especially for quite a while. This is an article written by Rob Roper. He does a Substack, Behind the Lines. This is dated July 26, 2026. Democratic Socialists, the privileged white loser party. Okay,
Rob Roper,
want-
classic.
Yeah. I love, because, he's talking about really intense stuff.
Yes.
Okay, deep stuff. But he always manages to pepper the subject of his article with just the right amount of sarcasm.
Yes.
And that's what I love.
Right.
Okay. And one of the many reasons why I wanted to cover this, Allison, is because without, in education, our kids learning from history, we are going to be doomed to repeat it.
Oh, yeah,
okay?
we keep doing it.
We're going to be doomed to repeat it. So I wanted to include this, and maybe if we have time, if I can manage to figure out how to connect one of our phones to this soundboard so we can play that video that I showed you. That is an
Yes.
eye-opener.
Yeah, the history, we have to look back. We have to learn.
We absolutely do.
Yes.
And it can be a lesson to our young people so that they don't make the same mistakes.
Exactly.
If we want our kids and grandkids to do better than us, this is what we need to do.
And to not fall for the same garbage.
bill of goods.
Exactly.
By the empty promise that is democratic socialism.
Right, right.
Okay.
And Bernie, unfortunately, has been preaching for a long time. And hopefully people are seeing through, like, you can't just have a lot of rhetoric and propaganda without results.
Exactly.
And you still see people getting crushed.
Yes.
Right, right.
So, let's get into this. This week, the famed pollster and certainly no conservative, Nate Silver, founder but since departed of 538 and now author of the Silver Bulletin, published an article breaking down the financial and racial demographics of who makes up the Democratic Socialists of America. What he discovered is that the party's, quote, sweet spot, to use the term from this title, are the, quote, highly educated, downwardly mobile members of our society. In other words, our modern socialists are by and large those born on third base and somehow managed to get thrown out trying to steal second.
Right.
This is great. Not exactly the kind of people you want running a lemonade stand, let alone a city, state, or country.
Right.
Okay. They are also disproportionately white. 85% according to Silver, which he notes is neither representative of the country as a whole and even less representative of the overall Democrat Party. So despite attempts to paint the movement as blue-collar and racially diverse, it is, when you peel away the propaganda, the opposite of that.
Yes.
This is why I said democratic socialism is an empty promise, a very painful, poverty-stricken, hunger-stricken.
Inefficient, expensive.
Yes.
Yes.
So the curtain is ripped down, and it turns out the great Oz behind it is just a white dude or dudette with a lot of college, but is somehow earning less than $60,000 a year. More exactly, to quote Silver, quote, it's voters with the postgraduate degrees but lower to middle household incomes, $30,000 to $60,000 per year. In other words, a massive amount of debt
Right.
from college.
Right.
And when they come out, they just hate the United States.
And it's also indoctrination that happens in school. And then just
Yes.
that sort of utopian vision that we know is just not true because the world and humans are absolutely not perfect.
No.
And this goes back to what Thomas Sowell would always
Yes.
talk about of, there isn't a utopia. I mean,
No.
maybe heaven, but not here on earth. It's like, and so what is that Sowell quote that you've often said?
What is, and I just reposted it on Facebook.
Nice.
I shared it. What is your fair share of my paycheck? And I
Right.
don't think that's the exact wording, but it's
That's the general
basically
idea. What is your fair share
of what I earn.
of what
Okay.
I earn,
Yes.
right? And I think that it's important to remember that we do work hard to make a living. And I think most of us have no problem helping those out who are struggling.
A leg up, not
right,
a handout.
Right. But the socialism, communism path, absolutely not.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So you see this pattern with the Graham Plattner debacle, a guy who managed to turn a boarding school education opportunity at the uber elite Hotchkiss, from which he was, shocker, expelled, into a career gathering oysters for his mommy's restaurant. AOC graduated from Boston University with a double major in international relations and, I find this hard to believe, economics, and wound up tending bar.
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong. Bartenders, if you get into the right job, you can make a lot of money.
Oh, absolutely. No problem
Okay.
with that.
But, AOC can't talk her way out of a wet paper bag.
No.
Zohran Mamdani has a degree in, I find this easy to believe, Africana Studies from Bowdoin and parlayed that into short-lived career as a failed rap artist.
Oh, yeah. That was cracking me up. I had no idea the history there.
I didn't know
right.
that either.
Classic.
Their hero, excuse me, no pun intended here. That was just a miss here. Bernie Sanders is their hero.
Hero.
Why?
I
Why?
know.
The guy managed to get kicked out of a commune.
I know. For not working enough, for not contributing.
Yeah, he never spent a useful day in his life. And I've heard numerous stories because he apparently bounced around in my district way back in the day.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, though Silver avoids getting into the psychology of these folks, I'll give it a gander. They've been trained and brainwashed by their school experience, not just college, to expect praise and reward simply for holding and expressing certain politically correct or quote-unquote woke attitudes. which it turns out the world beyond academia and professional activism could give a rat's fanny about. They are focused on what Silver calls post-material, cultural issues such as gay rights, trans rights, and the environment, race relations in Israel-Palestine, as compared to other voters. They're only about average or even little below average in how much they prioritize things like healthcare and jobs. I want to touch back on a little thing about brainwashed by their school experience.
Right, right.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if we don't fix our schools, our education system, our kids are doomed. And if we allow that to happen, our kids not only are going to hate us, they're going to wind up in a way worse spot than we are. And being able to teach our kids the mistakes of history, one of which is socialism, communism, collectivism.
Right, right. And
They are-
social services
Yeah.
and providing some level of socialized services. I mean, there's often a role for that.
Yes.
But to go full on socialism when
No.
you're here, let's just give all our money to the government who we know is inefficient, where we
Yes.
know there is corruption, where we know there's bloated bureaucracy. That's
Yeah.
absolutely not going to solve our problems.
Right.
Right.
You know, and we have plenty of examples of history
Yes.
to show us that.
Yes.
We have the examples of communist China and Mao Zedong.
Right.
We have the example of Stalin and so many other. We have the example of Cuba.
Right.
And,
Vietnam.
Vietnam,
Right.
Cambodia.
Right.
The list goes on and on.
Exactly. And a lot of that started with a socialist party.
Yes.
I mean, look at Nazi Germany.
Democratic socialists.
Right.
Yeah. They everything is rosy. They promise rosy. Look, down in Venezuela, the meatball who took that place over and turned a beautiful
Hugo Chavez.
Hugo Chavez.
Yes,
There you go.
Yes.
Took one of the most prosperous nations in South America and turned it into what?
Yes.
A mess.
Exactly.
An impoverished mess where people were leaving their children at orphanages because they couldn't afford to feed them.
Right. And this is where it's, you know, I think, Mike, we often just keep coming back to just people breaking through the current propaganda that is in play and not just falling for the taglines and the buzzwords of affordability and universal health care and housing for all. What does that actually look like and how do we get there? And can we get there? And what does that mean? It's like you
Yes.
got to dig into it.
Absolutely. So I got to get into this next one because we see this organization up in the State House all the time. You see this dynamic at work at the VPIRG rallies all the time.
And VPIRG is Vermont Public Interest Research Group.
Yes.
Right.
High school students propped up at the podium reading statements they clearly didn't come up with on topics they clearly know nothing about, calling for action they clearly don't understand the consequences of, always with stupid grins on their faces like trained seals who know a herring is about to be tossed their way.
Right.
This is the thing. Without knowing the consequences, without knowing the reasons behind this, you can't just keep propping these kids up and telling them this is going to be good.
Right.
You
And
can't
that's
give
just
them the
taking
proof.
advantage of our youth. And you look at how often that has happened. You
Yes.
mentioned in Mao's communist China. You look at that with the SS and the young men who were brought into Nazi Germany. It's so many times our children have been taken advantage of.
Yeah, and the next sentence, useful idiots, to use Stalin's term. That was his term,
Yep.
useful idiots. Useful to, quote unquote, the cause, but to society, not so much.
Right. And this is also where you go back to Lenin. And what did Lenin
Yeah.
say? And Lenin's, I don't have it verbatim, but it essentially was, give me a generation of our youth and we can change the world.
Yes.
And look at what he did. Obviously, that led to Stalin and the gulags. And
Yes.
oh, my goodness, we don't want to see that happen.
Yeah, so after graduation, no more herrings, because the vast majority of the human race doesn't want to pay someone to lecture them about trans issues, climate doom, or how we're all racist, misogynistic, or homophobic, the same way we are willing to pay someone to say, fix our roof, build us a website, install a furnace, or insert useful, beneficial, or entertaining thing here.
Right. Productive services
Productive.
and goods. How are you contributing? What are you bringing to the conversation that people might want to buy or need?
Right.
Right.
You have a service that somebody is willing to part with their money for.
Yes.
So your typical democratic socialist has sadly been duped into tens of thousands of dollars worth of loan debt for a degree in Africana studies or some such thing, and if they're lucky, a job slinging lattes at Starbucks. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with working at Starbucks. It's good, honest employment. You just don't need to spend $70,000 a year for 4 years as a gender studies major to pursue that path.
Right, there you go. Rob
And the other
Roper
thing-
at his finest.
And look, I'm going to break from the article for a minute, and I've heard this so many times. I drive a truck now, okay? I got a CDL-A to be able to drive a dump truck, tractor trailer. I have a tanker endorsement to be able to move up here, to be able to have gainful employment, because I didn't want to do what I did for 30 years. I wanted to switch. There are plenty of comparisons. You take two children, say 2 sons. One wants to go to college. Mom and dad say, okay, I'll give you $250,000 for you to go to college. What are you going to do, the other one? I want $250,000 to buy a dump truck. And the one who goes out and goes to work, gets dirt under his fingernails, drives a truck how many hours a day?
right.
In the end, he's able to pay off that same loan how much faster?
Yep.
You've been lied to about being in a trade where you sweat, where you get dirt under your fingernails.
You work hard. Right.
You've been duped to think that is less than honorable. When now we have shortages of truck drivers, qualified truck drivers,
Builders,
electricians,
right.
framers, carpenters, finish
Right.
carpenters, welders, plumbers,
Right.
people who know how to run an excavator
Yeah.
with skill. All of these trades. We have, Allison,
No, these are
did
like
you know
life-saving
we have
trades.
a housing crisis?
Oh,
in this
yeah,
city?
I know. Imagine.
Wouldn't all of those trades that I just listed be wonderful to have people who are, what do they call it now? The silver what? Oh, I saw this on one of those reels on Facebook, the silver something.
Okay.
Where everybody who's, 45 or 55 or older, that's what it is. Everybody in the trades is getting closer and closer to retirement,
Oh,
and
yeah.
there's nobody coming up behind
They
them.
need to have people coming in. My son's on
Nobody-
the path for being an electrician and doing well
Silver
for his
tsunami,
family.
that's
Silver
what it is.
tsunami,
That's
that
what
makes
it is.
sense. Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
so we have all of these people waiting just on the verge of
Mm-hmm.
being retirement age, and there's nobody coming up.
Right. And I think there is more awareness on this need to encourage trades. We definitely need to, be moving that way.
absolutely
And
there
obviously
is.
college is a path for some, but not for all. And
Yes.
either one is going to be, like you said, honorable, respectable. And what are you bringing to the community?
Exactly. There's
Right.
nothing wrong with it.
Right.
Absolutely nothing wrong. Farmers, they run tractors.
Right.
If they do it well and they know when to till, how much to till, when to fertilize, when to water. There is a science behind it. This idea, there's so many people like Michael Bloomberg. Oh, you just stick a seed in the ground. No, it's not like that,
buddy.
you knucklehead.
Right.
So, these are respectable trades. And anybody who's told you otherwise is selling you a bill of goods.
And when you have someone who really is working hard, they should be able to hold on to their hard-earned dollars. And that's back to just one of the problems with democratic socialism. And nobody...
Hold on a minute. What did I do here? Sorry about that. We got broken up, so I have no idea where we messed up. But
We're
anyway,
back.
yeah, we're back.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff going on. And with this misinformation, with this empty promise of democratic socialism.
Yeah, there's a push for it heavy right now. And
Yeah.
people need to wake up and open their eyes and just, is that the answer? Should the government have a monopoly on our businesses, our economy, and our money?
And the worst part is in our education system, if we don't get our children taught both sides. Oh, capitalism is bad. Why? Why is it bad? Compare. Allow. I can remember years ago when I was in school, the teachers actually, they assigned sides of a debate. You're going to debate this. not whether you agreed on it or not, but your assignment was to sell it, basically.
Yeah, do the research and come
Do
in
the
with
research.
your argument. Right.
Come in
right.
with your argument. And it was great for bringing up certain points and exposing what may or may not be good about a certain economic system,
Right.
for instance, capitalism versus socialism.
And I think it's important to point out, like the corporatism piece, where you've got government and corporate elite coming in
Yes.
together. That's very different than just your free market where people are trying to sort of come in and solve problems with, like we said, goods and services. That's where you're talking about a real free market system allowed to function. And one of the big things they talk about, the difference, I don't know your thoughts on this, Mike, socialism versus communism. Communism, this is sort of like forced upon you, typically
Yes.
through force of a government, whereas socialism, we vote for it. But either way, they're taking hard-earned dollars, and a lot of times you've got corruption behind how those dollars are spent that don't make it back to the people.
But one winds up leading to the other.
Yes.
If you don't wind up with communism in the beginning, socialism is the
Stepping stone.
stepping stone.
Right.
It will evolve into communism.
Right. And we've certainly seen that play out in many countries that we've mentioned just a bit ago.
And there's a great Ayn Rand quote, and I'm sure I'm going to butcher it, but when asked what the difference between socialism and communism is, they're both death. As one is by suicide and one is by basically murder, homicide.
Right.
They both end the same way.
Yes.
They both end the same way, and they
Yeah.
don't end well. So,
No,
and we've
that
managed
was-
to run over now. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to return hopefully soon when I get my stuff together here, because I've got a little bit mixed up on my mixing board. You're listening to Right Side Up. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Right Side Up. My name is Mike Taglavia. My co-host is Allison Despathy. Before we get into our discussion again and our next subject, rightside-up-radio@gmail.com if you'd like to drop us a line. If for some reason you can't catch us on the radio, you can at WNTK Radio. You can go to WNTK.com. You can find the podcast button, click on it, scroll down to Right Side Up and listen to any number of our shows. You can find us on Podbean. You can find us on 802 Scoop Facebook, 802 Scoop YouTube, and you can also find us on granitegrok.com. So, all right. So, Allison, there's so many things in the news for Vermont.
Always.
So,
I know.
Never enough time, too many subjects.
Right.
So you said there was something going on with the city council in Burlington dealing with public safety. So why don't you tell me about
back
this?
to the public safety, which we know
Yeah.
is absolutely an ongoing issue in Vermont, because Vermont has embraced more. And of course, we want to have compassion and empathy. There's a lot of reasons why, people are committing crimes or are struggling. Obviously, drugs and poverty and mental health all play in. So we want to have compassion and empathy, but there are real public safety issues. And so
Yes.
this is a sort of classic example. I mean, Vermont has had a lot of people in positions of power have had more of a focus on the sort of quote unquote defund the police.
Yeah.
And so what are the impacts of that? So in Burlington, it's really interesting. And if people want more information on this, Vermont Daily Chronicle has published an article, and it says, "Remove unauthorized vagrant camps, Burlington Council urges." So the Burlington City Council is calling for faster removal of unauthorized vagrant encampments in city parks and other areas where camping is prohibited, urging the administration to begin enforcement actions within about 24 hours of discovering an illegal campsite. And according to Vermont Daily Chronicle's reporting, they said this proposed action follows the cancellation of a Sunday, July 19th, Burlington concert ban in Battery Park due to disorderly vagrants who regard the park as their home. So basically what they're saying is they're sort of cracking down on the places you can and can't have encampments, and they want enforcement, and they need to clean this up. And it is classic because they fired part of their police force, right?
Or, well, because of morale, they're having
They've
trouble.
lost some, right?
They're having trouble maintaining or recruiting.
Right. If they can't do their job,
Exactly.
if they can't keep streets safe, if they can't keep people safe, if they can't do the work of public servants and public safety, that would be frustrating.
Well, Allison, it sounds to me also like it is a function of economics.
Yes.
Burlington is beginning to suffer a lot economically because people are finding out, whether they find out the hard way or not,
Right.
that Burlington, number one, is not safe, and it's not the city that maybe of 20 years ago.
Right.
I've heard numerous stories. We talked about this for years on the show, how people have told me stories, how families would come to Burlington, go to Burlington, and even the younger family members, they would go off in one direction, mom and dad would go off in another. They would just pick a spot to meet up.
Right.
And it's not that way at all anymore.
No.
And I was just out, I was driving home from work the other day, and I stopped to talk to a constituent. We were talking, and I had mentioned that I hadn't seen my constituent's son in a while, who lives on his own with his family. And lo and behold, 10 minutes later, the son pulls up, and we started talking, and Burlington came up. And the son tells me the story about how his cousin, a woman, I don't know how old, was approached by somebody who wanted her phone. And she said no and was promptly punched in the face. Now, she was able to
Unbelievable.
defend herself along with her husband. But then I guess when police came, they were the ones who had to defend themselves to try to not be held accountable for
Oh my goodness.
defending against a punch because somebody wanted
Right.
one of their possessions.
Right.
So I'm sure this happens a lot. And I'm sure the rampant drug addiction problem,
Yeah, exactly.
which causes all of the other problems, the theft,
Right.
and how even it's a twofold problem for retailers. They have to worry about their employees.
Yes.
Okay, opening and closing, or they can they even leave on a lunch break or any kind of break, and they have to worry about losses from theft.
Right.
You can only absorb so much in losses before you say this is not
No, that
working.
is stealing. That is unacceptable, period.
Stealing, period. And,
Right.
and this idea that there should be a threshold is ridiculous.
Oh my gosh, that is really, really insane.
$5, $2, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
$500, it doesn't matter. It's theft.
Exactly.
It's theft.
And that's
there
where we
needs to
know
be
that some
accountability.
business owners have certainly moved out because of these, the crime and the public safety
Yeah.
issues. And I know some of them got together to, write some letters because of the concerns they've seen around this. So it is
Yeah.
good on one hand to see the Burlington City Council, trying to respond and saying, hey, we are going to step up and take some action. And the other thing that I should mention, and this is also referenced in this article, but basically they also came out, the council has a plan, and they say the council's plan calls for amending city development bylaws, full regulatory review of overdose prevention centers. So we have this safe injection, quote unquote, safe injection site planned. And now the city council is saying, well, I guess in here they continue and say that there's a review of the overdose prevention center approved for state funding by the legislature, but so far unpopular with all potential Burlington neighborhoods. Can you imagine what neighborhood would want a safe injection site? Let's just be honest,
Well,
right?
I would refer you to an article that was in the New York Post, I believe.
Okay.
It's from, probably almost half a year ago now or more.
Okay.
Where there is one of those overdose prevention centers, whatever you want to call them. They're not safe injection
No,
sites.
we can't
Nothing
even say
safe about
that.
them.
Right.
And basically, the neighborhood is basically begging the city of New York and the feds to shut the thing down.
Wow. So we
Okay.
have like a whole
It
model
will
case.
be, yeah. And somebody, I was talking with somebody this past weekend, and apparently there are landlords in this state that actually promote their homes, these apartments,
Yep.
online or in other states as being close to treatment clinics.
Wow. Yep.
That kind of nonsense in this state needs to stop.
Right. And that's where, so there's a quote in here from the council's plan, and it says, quote, "The city council declares that any proposal to authorize overdose prevention centers within the city of Burlington should proceed only through amendment of the Comprehensive Development Ordinance following public notice, public hearing, and legislative action by the city council. The plan also declares the sites must not be located downtown." So they're basically saying that right now our zoning bylaws do not support a safe injection site. And if you're going to consider doing that, we are going to make sure the public is aware, make sure we have adequate public hearings, and that the city council takes legislative action. So it kind of sounds like they're putting up a little bit of a wall of, you're not just going to force this safe injection site on us.
Well,
like they're pushing back, it sounds like there.
That's a good thing. The thing that is a problem for me is this safe injection site was funded through the legislature already. There has been money spent in a search of this location.
And then they came back for more this session.
And they came back for more, and it was granted. Okay, that doesn't mean all the money was spent, but it's there. And
Right.
the thing that throws up a red flag for me is, okay, if that's the case, then this money, as soon as we get back, or maybe sooner, into session, that money needs to be frozen. Where's it going to go?
Right.
Where's it going to go? Because I want to know where that taxpayer money is going to go.
Yep, exactly.
set aside for
and everyone
something.
wants to know that.
Yeah,
Right.
and I believe this was another override of the governor's veto.
Yes.
Okay, so remember going back to our other segment where it was all the governor's fault. No, actually it wasn't.
Especially
He
when
tried
you
to
look at
prevent
the
this
details.
nonsense.
Exactly.
We wouldn't have even had this discussion. We would have been talking. And if there were Republican proposals on the table taken seriously, maybe we wouldn't be here right now.
Right. And that's
Maybe
where,
we
again,
wouldn't
we're
be
just
here.
back to, we need that more balance.
Yes.
Like the fact that passed. And
Yes.
I remember Representative V.L. Coffin, who you also mentioned
Yes.
from the Windsor Republican gathering.
Yes.
He's a great guy, and he had an absolutely wonderful floor speech that he shared about the problem and his concerns with the safe injection site.
Yes, he
Yes,
did. He
definitely.
did. And there was a representative from Burlington who did not know Representative Coffin's position and the history
And
of
the
his
history
posi-
of where that
and
came from,
he
right.
really stood up in strong opposition, and later found out that he really had no grounds. But there was no, as far as I know, as far as I can remember, there was no actual apology to Representative Coffin
Right.
on the floor afterward.
And
I
he
don't
was
think there
raising
was.
really important points.
Absolutely
about, and
he
I just
was.
think of like my family, my children, my grandchildren. If there was going to be a quote unquote safe injection site right in my neighborhood, I would be flipping out.
Well, with due cause.
Yes,
Okay, we were
exactly.
talking about, if I remember correctly, and I wasn't in the legislature when this stuff went through, but I think there was going to be an allowance for minors as young as 12 years old to
Yes,
walk into these.
absolutely.
Okay, that is unacceptable
I
for a
know.
minor to be able to walk in with illicit drugs that are purchased outside the building.
Right.
Walk past potential, I don't know, one or two law enforcement officers. Maybe they're walking the beat. Maybe they're sitting in a parked car, making sure the neighborhood stays safe. And for having a sworn officer,
Right.
okay, law enforcement officer, knowing that someone is in danger
And that this is
not
illegal.
being able to do anything about it is absolutely absurd
That would
to
be
me.
so difficult. Exactly. And that's where
heartbreaking.
it's like Vermont really needs to find this space between supporting people who are struggling and how do we get them on a path and not enabling that path and opening it wide up, which is what these safe injection sites would be doing.
Yeah.
And I know some people will argue, and I think it's a difficult conversation to have when you hear, well, someone I know and someone I love overdosed in their room alone. And it's like, is a safe injection site even going to help prevent that?
We have recovery centers that don't allow people to be alone. They're specifically set aside. They're set up so that people who have lived through it, who are further along in recovery, are with people who are not so far along in recovery.
Right.
It's done on purpose that way.
Right.
But this is talking about recovery. It's not talking about using. It's not talking about maintaining.
Right.
It's talking about getting yourself off of the stuff.
Right.
This is what we shouldn't set up.
The
is
enabling
not
maintenance
the enabling.
setup.
Yes,
Right, right.
enabling it.
And
is
this
not
also
helping.
brings us to the conversation around just the drug trafficking that has been happening in the catch and release system that Vermont
Yes,
has, which
absolutely.
many people in the judiciary, many Republicans are trying to end this sort of catch and release. I mean, how many times can someone get arrested with,
Right.
with drugs
And-
and selling of drugs before we actually take action to stop that person from going back and doing it again?
And here we go again with the plan. There have been bills proposed. There have been, now it sounds like because there was a constitutional amendment back in the 80s dealing with bail and flight risk, and now that needs to be revisited.
Right.
Well, that should have come up 2 years ago, but it didn't.
I know.
Because we didn't have the right numbers. We didn't have the amount of common sense we needed at that time. And then in November, we got some.
Right.
Now we need more, because
Right.
more common sense means changing the Constitution so if you're a threat, and the threat can be defined, not just threat of flight. So we don't have up in Burlington almost 1,600 encounters with police before a judge says enough.
Exactly.
That's just far too many.
It's not
What happened
okay.
to 3 strikes and you're out?
Right. Definitely pushing the limits
Yes,
there. Exactly.
1,600 is a couple past that.
Right, I'd say.
So, well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope we've still managed to give you an enjoyable show, even though we had a couple of glitches here. So remember, stay safe, stay informed, listen to Right Side Up.